Period facts. A global study analyzing menstrual cycle symptoms from over 238,000 women found that more than 64% of them reported mood swings or anxiety as a common premenstrual symptom. At least 61% experience mood-related symptoms every cycle. This shows that mood fluctuations are definitely related to the menstrual cycle. This is Everyday Period. Everyday Period removes the mystery, the stigma, and awkwardness surrounding reproductive health and brings empowering real conversations to the forefront. This is a space where we talk with real people about real experiences, honestly, openly, and without shame, to normalize conversations about periods, bodies, and reproductive health as a part of everyday life.
You don't want to talk about it because of fear of being judged. For example, there is cycle-related depression. There is cycle-related anxiety. And when these things come, when you talk about it, you are seen as weak, or you lack certain coping skills to deal with it. And so you are afraid of being labeled or being judged because of the stigma. Today, there are still in families, relationship where the woman, when these days are approaching, the woman is as afraid because she is being stigmatized. She's seen as dirty.
Yes. The information shared on Everyday Period is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding your health or medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you heard on this program. Your health is unique, and only a medical professional can provide personalized guidance. Welcome to Everyday Period. I'm your host, Shelly-Ann, and of course, I'll be here to help you navigate the murky waters of all things reproductive health. So what's the connection between menstrual health and mental health? You hear the men part, don't it? Yeah, I heard it too. But seriously, from mood changes to anxiety to depression, stress, even trauma, our menstrual cycles are definitely linked to our mental well-being. Who better to help me make this connection than my beautiful, intelligent, brilliant, because we say beauty and brilliance, yeah? Guest, none other than the fabulous Suzette Camille Buchanan, CEO of the Bellevue Hospital, of course, Jamaica's premier mental health institution. Hi, Camille.
Hi, Shelly.
Welcome to Everyday Period.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is such a pleasure. Let me start off first by getting into your business. Tell me your first period story.
You know what? It has been so long, I don't
All right, maybe don't remember the very first one, but try to think of a memorable one, a period story that stands out to you.
I just really remember when it started how annoyed I was.
Annoyed?
Yes, because I was a tomboy at the time, riding bicycles and motorbikes, and then just having this, I just saw it as a big responsibility. And there was so much anxiety. I mean, looking at the first one, I made it through, and I really remember that. And then as it approached the second month, there was the anxiety again because, I was riding bikes, I was riding bicycle, and then my friends, I would not know. All my friends, they were male. So I grew up with the boys. So you don't know what to tell them why you won't be able to ride later on. So that was pretty much it. But what was important is that my mother, she did a fantastic job in preparing us for the day.
So what are some of the things that she told you?
That it's a natural part of your body. It is just something that will happen and just helped us I have another sister in managing it, just how to manage it and how to be prepared. And prior to having my cycle, she brought us shopping, and then we look at the various sanitary napkins, and she'd tell you this is the one that you actually start with, and as the trickle gets lower, you actually start you graduate to this one. And so there was a lot of conversation surrounding it. So when it came, it was just a matter of just going through those days. Yes.
That's such a nice thing, because I talk a lot about making sure that girls are prepared before it starts.
That's important.
It's so interesting that you can tell us how beneficial that was for you. Because even modern times, you have mothers who think, oh, no, I don't want to tell her about that. I'll wait until she starts. And I'm like, but that's too late.
It's gonna come, as my mother would say. There's absolutely no way out of it. So you might as well just plan for it and plan how you'll manage it.
How did that impact the way you talk to your children about periods?
It was the same thing. I did the same thing that my mother did with my daughter. I had the conversations early. I mean, it becomes a crisis, Shelly, and I have always said that also with mental health, when it just comes out of nowhere. There has to be continuous discussions, and it has to be normalized.
Yes.
Because it is normal. And also, for those who have boys and just boys, we need to have these conversations with them as well. So I was having this conversation with my daughter all along. I was saying to her, there will be a time when this will happen. You'll have your cycle. And I gave her little homeworks and little research to do, and she'll come back and tell me. And then she started to educate me. So when it came, it was so easy for her to say, Mommy, the time, it's here. It's finally here, and it's quite interesting because she was so prepared. I recall she was so excited.
Yes.
So
it wasn't this dreaded thing.
Oh my God, I have gotten it. It's here.
Wow. Boy, I feel so good about that, because that's what we've been preaching. We see the benefit of opening the conversation, of making it a regular thing, of ensuring that they're prepared, because now you took away the darkness and the dread and the shame from it, from just having it as something easy and accessible and something that she can definitely look forward to. Bravo. Boy, I want to clone you. No, for true. All right, so let's bounce off from there and talk about. All right, so when we talk about periods, especially when we're talking to girls about periods, we tell them about the physical things that's going to happen to them. We tell them they're going to bleed. We tell them they might feel a little pain. They might, their bodies are going to feel a little different. But we rarely have the mental and emotional conversations about periods with them. From your standpoint, as a mother or even as a mental health professional, how do you think we can improve that conversation?
Have more conversation, normalize it, and I said it earlier. There is also, I've been talking about stigma all week, but I'll talk about it again. There is a stigma that is attached to your cycle.
Yes.
You don't want to talk about it because of fear of being judged. For example, there is cycle-related depression. There is cycle-related anxiety. And when these things come, when you talk about it, you are seen as weak, or you lack certain coping skills to deal with it. And so you are afraid of being labeled or being judged because of the stigma. Today, there are still in families, relationship where the woman, when these days are approaching, the woman is as afraid because she is being stigmatized. She's seen as dirty.
Yes.
And so she don't want her boyfriend to know that her period is coming, and then she not talk about it because she not go cook that week there, and it might go end up and go to the other girl on the side. So that brings anxiety in the relationship as well, because she's afraid that he's going to cheat this week because my period is, she's afraid that he's going to eat somewhere because she is seen as dirty, and that is the reality. So there is a stigma that is attached to that. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but if I
No,
didn't,
no,
take me
first,
back,
don't worry
dear
yourself.
Lord.
Listen,
Take me
listen,
back.
listen.
Yes.
We might need to start, clapping and things when we do in church because you're preaching.
Yes.
Right? But let us focus on the depression
Yes.
and the anxiety for a moment, because a lot of people don't really understand what depression actually looks like and what it can do to the body. Because one of the things that I have observed is that it is not just a mental situation, it also has a physical manifestation. And how does the person who cares about the depressed woman, how do they identify that is what is happening? That, listen, let us say she have a man who not gonna give her such a hard time and he wants to support her. How does he look at her and know that she might be depressed?
Withdrawal. You become withdrawn. Right, that's correct. Yeah, you're withdrawn, Usually you meet in the family room and you have these discussions, or you hug, you laugh, you talk. You see the person in a corner sitting on another chair, or they're in their room making excuse, oh, I have this to do. Not wanting to participate in activities, right? Or sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, eating too much or not eating enough. And just throw up yourself. I like to talk about people throw up themselves. They used to dress and nice and dandy, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. You used to go anywhere in your little shawl or dress up and look cute and your little lipstick, and all of a sudden, those things don't matter to you anymore. So those are signs that we need to look out for. And when you are having periods of depression, you speak doom. Nothing is you're not an optimist anymore. Everything, Lord of mercy, I'm gonna feel good today, and Lord, I'm gonna feel me not get a promotion, yeah, or me not go pass the exam from the other day. Me do well in school, but me just feel me not go. So those are signs that persons are going through periods of depression.
It's so important for us to be able to identify that, because a lot of people end up being depressed and get no support because people just leave them alone. They say, no, sir, just leave her alone.
They mood the man have attitude.
Yeah, man.
They call
she
it
better sleep.
Yes,
Let's fire in there.
attitude. I still, people like to talk about that. The thing about, and again, it comes back to the stigma, Shelly. The thing about persons who are living with mental health condition or they're having a crisis is that as Jamaicans and just people in general, we call it everything else except what it is. Attitude, attitude. Shelly full of attitude.
She go on like.
Yeah, man, go on like. Yeah,
She
man.
go on like she better than people.
Anybody, yes. Yes. And that is the reality of it. So, and we can only, and I must commend you on your platform, because we can only address these issues through education. That's it. That's it.
So let us bring it back to education. One of the things that I observe in schools, especially with girls who, they are going through this change, puberty is happening to them, but they don't have the words or the language to express that, all right, they are feeling a certain way. And so it comes off as them being disruptive, or, they might talk back in class, or they might just withdraw, as you said. And a lot of the teachers, them say, well, this is a problem child or whatever. What kind of tools do you think we can employ in those kind of spaces to be more supportive of these girls and to help get them back on track?
The reality is that the commencement of your menstrual cycle is a big event.
It is.
It is such a big event, and it's a life-changing event.
Yes, it is.
And whether we want to accept that or not. So I think that because it is so important, and it causes physical, it impacts you physically, it impacts you mentally.
Correct.
Right? And I'm happy that we're talking about this. I think one of the things that we can do, we need to incorporate this into our whatever we're teaching at school, Shelly-Ann. The reality is, it has to be incorporate. It is that important, as I've mentioned. It is something that leading up to those days, you become anxious. It's almost as if you're waiting on your results to get into Harvard or to get into that, whatever. I can't compare, you probably more. But yes, it is your anxiety.
Yes.
And you get depressed. You know what I mean? Especially if you hear your friends say, listen, I had mine last night, or it feels like it is coming on. Even prior to the beginning of your cycle, you mistake every pain for your cycle.
Gosh, man.
Your neck hurt, you run, go to somebody and say to them, I wonder if I'm a period start. So that is the reality. So I think including it in the curriculum is very, very important.
Vital.
It has to be. There has to, because there's absolutely no way it's gonna escape anyone.
It is a reality.
Yes. For some medical reason, it might escape some of us. And also our men, they have to be a part of it because they have to learn how to manage their playmate that is a female. And when they grow older, they learn to manage their marriages and their relationship. Because period, cause people can mash up too.
Yes, man, we're going to get into that part. But
Yes.
before we get into that part, I want to come back to the curriculum for a moment because they will tell me, because I spend a lot of time in the classroom and I teach period sessions and I talk about the emotions and the mental health and all of that. And one of the things that I get pushback from is that, but we have biology class. But not every student does biology.
Absolutely.
So biology alone is not enough.
Not enough.
It's absolutely not enough. And I really think that they need some dedicated time in the curriculum to address mental health. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. And that's where I was going with that. A dedicated time. Everybody need to go through that. And I'm not just talking hop and go for a day or you stopping at school.
Something you have to learn.
You have to learn it and you have to pass it.
Yes.
It is that important because it is something that you won't be able to bypass in your life. And as I said, it will affect you mentally, it will affect you physically, it will affect those who are around you too. And so you have to teach you from early, teach a child from early how to manage it. And by extension, this will teach others around them how to manage them because they can go home and educate them parents as well. Because you have some of these parents that will tell you from the older school, will tell us, listen, don't. I mean, there's so much stigma. Not tell nobody.
Oh, Lord, man.
The shame. The shame, right?
I met a mother who said that she advised her daughter to take home the used pad. So when she uses it, she must throw it away. She must wrap it up.
Nobody
and
should
carry it.
ever know. Right. Because yes, and that is the reality. That's the reality. We don't understand how many persons who are in their cycle or prior to their cycle, how depressed they can be and how anxious they can be. As you've said at the beginning of your presentation, you did say that we focus on everything else, physical, but we do not focus enough on the mental health.
Yes.
I can literally sometimes I have persons around me and they're fidgeting and so many things happening. And I experienced that recently while I was at work. I was looking for somebody and I was saying, where are you? I don't want to call the name. I said, where are you? And she came out of the bathroom as well. And then I said, but you're in here so long. And I said, and I start to fidget and I say, you're on your period. And she said, yes.
Is it a shame?
And I'm like,
oh, wow. Is it a shame?
So, yeah. Because, usually I would joke with them and say, oh, you're going in there to do number 2, whatever it is. And just funny because I had the awkwardness in them saying, no, Miss Buchanan, I don't come to do that. But this time, it wasn't that. And I realized, and I said, oh, you're on it. And she said, yeah. It's really unfortunate.
As if she did something wrong.
As if you did something wrong, and that is a shame, and that is
We really have to do something about the shame, but don't worry, we're going to come back right after this break because we have more menstrual and mental health. How do they intersect? This is Everyday Period, don't move. Let's normalize the talk, celebrate the experience, and make periods something we're proud to discuss. Welcome to the conversation. We need to hear from you. Send your questions, comments, suggestions to embraceherflow@gmail.com. You can also like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Period TV. Welcome back. We're talking mental and menstrual health with my beautifully brilliant guest, Miss Camille Buchanan, CEO of Bellevue Hospital. Is Bellevue the only mental health institution in Jamaica?
Only psychiatric hospital in Jamaica, and it is said to be the leading one in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Of course, because
And we're 165 years old as well, over a century, standing strong and tall.
As a child, I have to ask this question. As a child, when I would misbehave or say certain things, an adult will threaten me and tell me that they're going to take me to Bellevue and get a can of Milo and condensed milk and turn me in, and they want the Milo. Is that a real thing? Could you carry in people and get Milo? Where do you get that from?
I have absolutely no idea. What I would love now is for them to come and collect their family members. I'll give them a Milo for every family member that they come and take home now. That's the only thing that Milo has.
What do you mean by that?
So we have 400 social cases and we've had them for decades.
Really?
Yes, they just take them there, abandon them.
Okay.
Yes, so no. So we can talk about Milo for that. I'll give you.
You'll give them the Milo.
Yeah. But we've never given away Milo.
But you've heard that before.
Oh yeah, everywhere. Once I go anywhere, you can't give me a Milo.
I don't know where they get that something there from. I had to ask. All right, so earlier we were talking about periods and relationships, and you made a comment where you said sometimes periods can impact relationships, which is in fact a fact. But I want to hear, because it sounds like you have some experience in that statement when you made it.
Yes, man. I mean, as I've mentioned, what I mentioned, it's something that I've actually heard. I've had somebody explain to me that, listen, when it comes on to before me see my period, sometimes my period is all over the place, and I have no set time for come. But you see, before my period come, me get anxious because me know say him a go to the next woman because him keep on, him no want eat from me. So all when me know my period I go come, me fret because at that time me know say him a go at the side chick. You understand me? So it causes certain tension and it compromises you mentally. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind when I tell you that. So when it comes on to that particular time of the month, she explains that she's under severe stress and the fear of him eating somewhere else and the fear of him sleeping with somebody.
And I can just imagine the self-talk. What is she saying to herself in that situation?
But look here, some people go beyond that. People will tell you, and I don't know if you've spoken to anybody that them say them take pill for make sure them period don't come.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. For sure.
Makes sense. They make sure them take pill because them cannot afford not to be in use during that period, for want of a better word.
No, that is the word. That is the word. As a matter of fact, I've heard situations where somebody will say, well, the man don't live with them, but them coming over and then period are gonna start. So them need to stop the period so that them in use, we're using your term, when the man come.
But not only when the man come over, we're talking about this happening in marriages and stable relationships.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And it is really, really unfortunate. And so it comes back to education and this period discussion, being discussed in schools and everywhere, in churches too.
Yes.
I mean, you can imagine, I would imagine the stigma that is attached to having your menstrual cycle. It would be interesting to see a pastor preach a sermon on it, because it is important.
Well, I have a story about that. I was invited to speak to a church, and I went in the church. I was talking about periods, and for the most part, people were receptive. But when I went into the comment section of the YouTube channel, the amount of people about me out.
To say what?
When may I go with period in the Lord's house? And I'm like,
so period is dirty then?
No, but hold on. I want if them know said they are members of the church who are sitting in the pew on them periods.
On their periods. Yeah. And that's the harsh reality after all these years. There's some that has not changed. And again,
that is a fact.
I'm going to commend you on just being steadfast and not giving up.
Yes, I thank you.
With your quest
man,
to educate, because we're still where we were 10 and 15 and 20 years and 30 and 40 and 60 years ago.
And there are a lot of people who are holding on for their life to these beliefs.
Yes.
Even now, yesterday I was having a conversation with some people and they tell me straight up, but period is unclean. The Bible say, and them quote the verse. And I'm saying, all right, but the same verse also said something about you not being able to eat pork, because that is also not acceptable in the Bible. And them cuss me out, me can't compare period to eating pork. But the point is, there are still people who are holding on to this belief that period is unclean, that you're not supposed to even cook. A chef commented on a post on social media to let me know that people with them periods not supposed to be cooking when they're on them period. They need to send them home that week.
But you know, back in olden days, I mean, I talk about back in older days like I was 100 years old. But the reality is that you as a little girl go in a shop, you want to see it on the counter.
No,
man.
Matter of fact, then write it down for a little note, girl. You could
You have to write it on a little note.
Yes.
And then nowhere on display, them go under, and if they give you a transparent bag for carry something else, then wrap that in a paper, in a brown paper.
Correct.
Because you must not see that at all.
Correct. I was in the supermarket several months ago, and I was behind a lady in the supermarket. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on. I was thinking about something, but I hear commotion when I started to pay attention. The lady was upset with the guy packing her bags because he put the menstrual pad in the same bag with her bath soap, which made sense to me because that like products. And she's like, not supposed to in the bag with that. That must be the only thing in the bag. And I'm like, really, miss, in a 2025? And the way, she wasn't even like, sir, could you put that in a separate bag? She ready to go on with the most way because she was offended that he was mixing up her bath soap with her menstrual pad.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Yeah. I believe that. We haven't moved past it. There's still so much to be done.
Wow.
So you have your work cut out for you.
Don't I know it?
Yes.
But I have good news to share. About maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we decided to target men. And the reason for that is I wanted to see how receptive will men be about this topic, and as well, what difference will it make if we educate boys about period? Initially, when I went into the schools, the teachers were like, no, well, we usually separate them and whatever. But for the most part, schools allowed me to teach the boys about period. And can I tell you, every little boy that we expose to period have one question to ask: how can I help?
Oh, really?
What can I do? Because what I do in my conversation with them, I connect it to their mother. I'm like, your mother have a period every month. You started life in your mother's womb. This is what your mother's body goes through. And when we finish the whole conversation, they want to know what can they do to help their mother.
That's amazing.
Right? When I talk to men about periods, a lot of them, they're like, miss, honestly, we not even thought about it. Did not know. They want to know the same thing. What do we need to know? What can we do? And my favorite group of men are fathers of daughters who are just having their periods for the first time. I'm so tickled. You know how many calls I get all hours of night from somebody in a supermarket or a gas station somewhere trying to figure out the difference between maxi and super, and why this one says super and why this one overnight if you can only wear in the night. So the fact that we have opened the door and started having conversations with men and boys, I see a lot of potential for us to have a greater support system, which we need, and for us to actually address the stigma, because remember, a lot of this hiding was to protect men from periods.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. So we are having a conversation now where we're having young men in their 20s who they have no issue at all. Say, miss, please, my girlfriend used this tampon and I buy for her every month. And I'm going to shop, I have no, yes. And so the young men, they don't have the issues that their fathers had. And so I am happy to report that the change has happened, but more is still there to be done.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It is a necessary conversation and we need to have it, and we need to have it with male and female.
Correct.
And we don't have to separate them, we need to have it together.
Man, absolutely together. I want to talk a little bit about the work that you do at Bellevue and how does menstrual health impact that work. We have a relationship with Bellevue and Her Flow where we've been supporting Bellevue with products and stuff like that. So tell us, how does that help the work that you do there, and what can we do to be more supportive?
What you can do to be more, well, you have been so supportive, just by providing us with sanitary napkins. But some of the reality is that where you can provide more support is that we have a specific ward that is for the intellectually challenged. Mm-hmm. And we have women on that ward. And some of them, they're adults, but they're like 7 and 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And during that period, it is very difficult for their caregivers. So more education and meeting them at that level is important, because it's almost like you're educating a child about these things. So in terms of support, that's where you definitely will come in. So we're certainly looking for that next
absolutely
visit,
ready to do
where
that.
you'll see your adult children like women, but that is usually a difficult period. And just, it's difficult, and I must commend our support staff at the Bellevue Hospital, because even for the adults, you know, that are, even for the young women that are who are not intellectually challenged, but they are just living with mental health condition, it can be a very difficult period for them, because sometimes when this happens, they too get anxious, they too get depressed, and they can relapse. You'll find a few of them relapsing during this period as well.
Okay. Well, you see, it's so important to have conversations, because I didn't even make that connection.
Yes, connection.
And I've seen women at different stages of their life go through different stages of ability who have had to adjust where that is concerned, because even women who are postpartum, they find themselves using diapers instead of pads, because the diapers are just easier for them to maneuver, and it gives them a better sense of security, and it gives them more support. And so even just understanding that, I too am on a learning journey, because I didn't even think about it, but it's because they're sharing their story where we get to understand more about it.
And you tie that back into the mental health. It gives them more confidence. It gives them they're more relaxed. They're more comfortable. And so everything impacts your mental health. So them wearing something big and broad and wearing pampers or pull-up, it gives them more comfort, and it gives them more confidence. And so mentally, the day becomes easier for them. It's one less thing to think about.
Okay, all right. So we're going to wrap up soon, but I have one question I need to ask you, because I've been on this quest, you know, so me ready to take up a campaign. And this year, I am campaigning for Jamaican women who need it to get menstrual leave. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, there are persons, I remember when my daughter's cycle started, it was a really difficult period for her mentally. I mean, you know, at the time she's still living with bipolar disorder, and she was not diagnosed at the time. And so one of the issues is, as soon as time comes for her period, you know, she was even a little bit more unstable. Of course, then I couldn't read into what was happening. But she, throughout her life, she has had some serious pain. This does not exist in Jamaica, but I can tell you where she resides in Australia, it is something that consideration is given to. Right? So there is a need for us to be able to there's a need for us to give that leave, because for some persons, it is indeed a horror story. Right? Your mentally you're all over the place, your hormones are all over the place, and some of us are just not in a position to do anything else than to focus on it, because it is 7 days of nightmare pain. Right. So it is something that we ought to look at seriously. And again, we come back to mental health and how it affects your mental health, because physically, when your body is out of tune and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, it is going to affect your mental health.
Of course.
So why come at work if the only thing you're going to do is lay down on the chair and bawl? What you come at work come do, right?
I think the problem is this. The bottom line is, we have no empathy when it comes to period.
No, not at all.
Yes, I said it. Because if what you said, everything that you said, but instead of periods, you were talking about heart disease, or you were talking about asthma, or you were talking about arthritis, none of us will have an issue.
Not at all.
We'll understand that they have a flare-up today, they need to go home and take care of themselves.
Yes.
We only have this issue because we're talking about periods.
Yes, and it's, I mean, and nobody wants to occupy their time talking about it, because go learn to cope with it and it will go away. It's only for 7 days.
You see?
Yeah, yeah, you know, you do get that.
You do this every month, you're not used to it by now?
Yeah, yeah, you shouldn't learn how to do it by now, yeah. That's the attitude.
Oh, and the people who are like, but I don't have that problem, I have a period every month.
Yeah, right, yeah. Are you sure you're eating properly? And they want to tell you why you are having that issue. Sure you're doing this? Sure you're using, or because I don't know, I don't have it. I don't have it, yeah.
Yes, so the lack of empathy is just glaring. Wow. Listen, of course, we have a part 2 conversation to have, but we have to just say thank you so much, Camille Buchanan, for joining us for this very important conversation.
Thank you so much, Shelly. It was my pleasure.
Yes, and we'll talk again because there's much more. Mental and menstrual health. Listen, these are facts of life. They go together and we are living with them, so we have more to discuss. Don't move, we'll be right back. Everyday Period is brought to you by HerFlow Foundation, empowering Jamaicans one flow at a time. HerFlow's flagship project is to end the period poverty in Jamaica. Since inception, HerFlow has donated over 15 million menstrual products to Jamaicans in need. To learn more about HerFlow, please visit the website herflowfoundation.com. And now it's time for Ask the Period Lady. And you know, this is my favorite part of the show because this is when I get to hear from you. If you'd like your question to be featured on Ask the Period Lady, all you have to do is send us an email to theperiodlady@gmail.com. This week's question is from Michael. Hi, Period Lady. Hi, Michael. All right, I'm a husband who's trying to be supportive. Good things. But I've noticed that my wife's mood really changes around her period. She seems to be more emotional, sometimes withdrawn or irritable. I don't want to say the wrong thing or make it worse. How can I be more supportive of her during this time? First of all, Michael, big up you. The fact that you notice these things and you're asking this question means you're good people and you want to help. So I'ma help you. First thing is, Mike, you see on those days when she's perfectly fine and she's energetic and she likes you, that is when you should ask her, hon, how can I help you when you're having those dark times during your period? And Mike, I suggest you make notes because you need to keep track of what she says when she answers that question. She's probably going to tell you that she likes to eat certain things, or she uses a certain painkiller, or she wants you to give her some space, or she wants you to rub her legs, or she wants you to hold her, or she wants you to be quiet. Either way, make notes and follow her instructions. Another thing that you can do, Michael, is pay attention. Notice the products that she uses. Pay attention to the snacks that she likes. And look at the things that she does to feel better. And you know what they say, monkey see, monkey do. The fact that you are already in this space tells me that you are already going to be a good, supportive space for her when she's feeling at her lowest. So she is lucky to have you. Thank you, Michael. I hope I helped. Of course, if you would like your information, your question to be answered here for Ask the Period Lady, I already told you what to do. Send your question to theperiodlady@gmail.com. We'll be right back. This week's challenge is, I'm giving you homework. For the next 7 days, I want you to track your period. I know I told you to track your period before, but listen to me. This is going to be different. Because this time you're tracking your mood. You're tracking what you're thinking. You're tracking your emotional state. Because I really want you to name those feelings so that you know what to do to help solve where it needs to be solved. Or maybe you just need to take a moment and catch yourself. Yes. So this is not just a exercise in writing down when your period starts and that kind of thing that we usually do to track our periods. I want you to focus on the mental and emotional symptoms that you're experiencing during this time. That's your homework. Feel free to share, tag us in your post, and make sure that you include us. Use the hashtag everydayperiod check-in because we love to see what does your mood looks like for those 7 days. All right? I'm going to leave it there. I want to say thank you so much to my great guest, Miss Camille Buchanan, CEO of the Bellevue Hospital, who joined us to have this important conversation about mental and menstrual health, how they intersect. And I want to thank you for watching this episode. Of course, before we wrap, I want to remind you that reproductive health is not just about periods or pregnancy. It's about how you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, even socially. As we go through life from puberty to menopause, reproductive health is an integral part of our overall health. So be kind to yourself and be kind to one another. And before you get up and go, remember to like, share, subscribe to our channel, and tune in next week for another episode of Everyday Period. Visit our website, herflowfoundation.com, and we always want to big up our production team, AP Run Digital Pro. See you next time. Shelly-Ann Weeks is a sexual and reproductive health educator, award-winning activist, and the founder and executive director of Her Flow Foundation, a Jamaican nonprofit dedicated to ending period poverty and advancing menstrual health and gender equity in Jamaica. With over a decade of experience in education, advocacy, and community outreach, she is widely known as the Period Lady for her bold, accessible approach to reproductive health education and policy advocacy.